Right now at 11, too close for comfort. How a quick-thinking neighbor helped crews in La Center slow a fire before it spread too far. Also tonight.
Stay like this until I tell you otherwise. Do you understand? Yes, sir.
Wow, it is the roadside crash you have to see to believe why police who'd stopped one driver suspected of driving drunk ended up with a second suspect. And later, more than just buds, they are lifelong companions as near strangers step in to help a fellow dog owner in his greatest time of need. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko along with Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino. Matt, another scorcher for the fourth day in a row. Have we finally seen the end of triple digits here?
I think we have, although there is a non-zero chance that we could slip up to 100 degrees tomorrow, but I think the odds of that are really quite low. And it's still warm out there right now, but 81 degrees is cooler than it was at this time last night by about 4 or 5 degrees. We're running 5 degrees cooler in Portland, 6 degrees cooler in Hillsborough, 8 degrees cooler in Scappoose. So that's a good sign. That should mean that we stay below or get below 70 degrees for the first time in about 3 days here in the metro area, which will be good. Around the state, temperatures also a little bit cooler over on the east side too. And there were some storms. We'll talk more about that later down in central Oregon. All right, our high today was 103 for the second day in a row. 105 over in Troutdale, 105 down in Aurora as well. We had 110 for the state's high in the Dalles this afternoon. Air quality, it's good. Portland area right now, it's all good here. We move south and the trouble spot still central Oregon. It's improved a bit, but it's still in the unhealthy category there. And of course at Oak Ridge near the fires and the Willamette National Forest. That smoke though is increasingly going to get pushed to the south and east, and we should be out of it come Friday. So things will be looking a lot better that smoke-wise for at least the northwest part of the state as we go through Friday. So another very warm night tonight, still hot in the morning, but much cooler tomorrow night. This is when we get that surge of marine air coming over the coast range, invading the western valleys. It will bring wind, which is another fire weather concern. More on that and a very unusual system, David, that may bring us rain next week coming from a very unusual place. More on that later.
That's pretty curious. Thank you, Matt. A big concern as these hot and dry conditions persist. A fire that sparked this afternoon on a property north of La Center, sending up a plume of smoke that was visible all the way from downtown Portland and forced neighbors also to evacuate. Alma McCarty is live in La Center where she just got an update from fire crews working on this blaze. Alma, tell us what you've learned.
Well, David, there is a lot less smoke out here than there was several hours ago when we first arrived on scene. Really proof that the firefighters have been working hard to get this thing under control. We are about 1.5 miles as the crow flies from where the fire first started around 3:45 this afternoon. Firefighters say at this point it's around 5% containment, and that 2 structures, the house where this started and a barn on the property, have burned in the fire. They also say that there are no injuries to report. Now, during the daylight hours, helicopters dropped water they picked up from the Lewis River onto the fire, which is burning along a rural area on Jenny Creek Road as crews battled the fire on the ground. Multiple agencies worked to protect structures and homes and stop the flames from spreading to even more trees. A lot of that work continues tonight.
You're looking at an issue with water supply, and with it being a little more rural, you're looking at taking a little longer to get crews there. So immediately it became with a 100 plus degree day that it was in the winds. That's hot August day that we typically see in Clark County. The fire took off and not only became a house fire, but then started to spot out and take off up the hill towards multiple residences.
Now, initially, some 17 homes were told to evacuate, and while we don't have an exact number, the properties closest to the 32-acre fire remain in a level 3 go now evacuation zone. You can see from the map levels 2 and 1 extend into the more populated areas near and in La Center. And some people told us they weren't taking any chances, including Tom Anderson from Vancouver, who quickly drove up to check on his 95-year-old father.
I'm not sure which way the wind's blowing. I just saw that stuff going on in Maui, how fast fires move, and so I ain't gonna sleep tonight with my dad being up there in Woodland, so got to get them out of there if it's going to, spread.
And tonight, the battalion chief tells me that in order to get the fire completely under control and contained, that's going to take several days at least. Now, one reason that the fire isn't larger than it is because of a neighbor who chipped in to help using his tractor to basically build a fire line. David?
All hands. Thank goodness for that neighbor. Alma McCarty in La Center. Thank you, Alma. Meanwhile, Multnomah County has reported its second potentially heat-related death in just 2 days. This person died yesterday, as reported by a Portland hospital, when the outside temperature was 102 degrees. This evening, officials are urging people not to let their guard down, even as we start to see, thankfully, a break in this heat.
The reality is that anyone could potentially be at risk, and we're most concerned, obviously, for children and elderly, seniors in our community, and also anyone who has an underlying health condition that might make them more susceptible and more vulnerable to the heat.
Another person in Multnomah County died of suspected heat-related causes on Monday, and 2 people have drowned. One in Clackamas County Sunday, the other a 15-year-old in Longview on Saturday while trying to cool off. Stay with KGW for continuing coverage of the extreme heat and wildfire season. You can find the latest on air at kgw.com, along with our app and on our social media pages. Let's get to other headlines this evening, including an update in the death and disappearance of an Oregon City woman. Police now say they have found the remains of 49-year-old Kara Taylor. After a multi-day search, authorities say they found Taylor's remains at the Coffin Butte landfill in Corvallis. Jamin Fritsch, who lived with Taylor at a home in Oregon City, is now charged with her murder. He pleaded not guilty to that earlier this month, along with abuse of a corpse. Now, Fritsch originally reported Taylor missing to police in late July. Let's take a look at this video from Tigard, where police officers were investigating a suspected DUI on Highway 217. They say they had the suspect pulled over on the side of the road. They were in the middle of a field sobriety test when suddenly this.
Stay like this until I tell you otherwise. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Holy.
Yeah, that was the sound of another driver slamming into one of their patrol cars, which was thankfully parked further back and was empty at the time. This is video just released from the early morning hours last Friday. The airbags went off in the vehicle you're about to see. Police say the driver and a passenger were not seriously hurt. Police arrested her, though, for DUI and reckless endangering. The first driver, by the way, also facing DUI charges after authorities say they clocked them going 106 in a 55. New at 11, OHSU and Legacy Health have announced they are merging to create what is essentially a regional healthcare giant. The combined system, they say, will include more than 32,000 employees, 100 plus locations, and 10 hospitals. OHSU and Legacy say they have signed a non-binding letter of intent to combine. They say they expect to merge next year, subject to regulatory approval.